So the action for us is very clear, right? We just read it. Give your wealth to the needy despite your love for your wealth. So all of us, when we have the money, we feel good. Yes, we have money, so we can do multiple things with it. We can buy goods, whatever we want, clothes, whatever, anything that we want. So we always, when we have money, we really feel good. And when someone's asking, we are feeling a bit uneasy when giving away our wealth. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, and this is actually the test for us, that when you love something, when you love your wealth, will you give it to the needy? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking for the greater goodness of the society and for the greater goodness of the people. So this is a test for people who have wealth, if they will give to those. I'd just like to quickly quote a story with you. So this I'm calling a restaurant story. So I was once, multiple times, we all go to the restaurants and we are dining there. So we were also there and we were having a nice meal and everything. And while having the meal, we started, also discussing, because, there are several waiters in the restaurants who are there. And usually at the end of the meal, once you're paying the bill, you leave some tip for the waiters. And it is, in some country it is more, in some society it is less, but generally there's an expectation, because if they have served you well or anything, you leave a tip to the waiter. You all know about this, right? Mostly when we dine out in restaurants, there's an expectation that we will give the tips to the waiter, right? Now the question is, how much tip should we give to the waiter? Who will answer me?
Generously.
Generously. Okay. Yes, that's a very good answer. We should give them generously. So we were, to be honest, just like Umar Umar mentioned that we should give them generously. So we were discussing it within the family, and one of the family members said, no, but why should we tip them? And probably they will get, so look at this restaurant, this is so much busy. They're already probably earning a lot. Many people are giving them the tips and all of this. So there were some people who were thinking, like Umar, for example, we should give them generously within the family when we were sitting and having our meal. And one or two of them were thinking, really, no, but we should be just giving them okay, sort of a tip. We should not give them very high, because already the restaurant is full. Probably they're getting the tip from every table. So this discussion was happening, right? So one thing that was, that's a lesson for me, at least personally. My mother, she said something very simply. So she was having her food and she said something. She said that, rupees 500, or let's say if you talk about Saudi Riyal 50 or dirham 50 or whatever dimension of money that you want to use, a high amount or a generous tip or whatever you give the waiter is more valuable for the waiter versus you. Who will explain me this statement? What does it mean? So my mother just said, that this money is more valuable for the waiter versus you. What does that mean?
The waiters,
They,
like
you don't know
their salary
how
is
much income
usually
they are
very
having.
low.
So when we give them a tip, so maybe that they needed that much money for something really important, and then we gave them.
Excellent. So while Omar and Ahmed, both of you were speaking, I got both of your answers. So Ahmed is saying that probably the waiters need money for something more important as well. So even you give them the money, they can use it. And Omar also said a very valid point. So thank you so much, both of you. Omar said that because the salary of the waiter is less versus what we earn. So they're earning a very small salary. So whatever amount we decide to give them, 500, or let's say if it is a bigger amount that we are thinking to give them or give them generously, this is more valuable for the waiter. And this is exactly the answer, right? Yes, Ahmed, go ahead.
I said what you think Omar said. We saw both of our statements around.
Okay, no problem. Yes. So the answer is the same, right? Because the difference in salary between the waiter and yourself or your father or whosoever is giving them the tip, or the person who's paying the bill, is much more, much more. So the joy and happiness that you will give to that waiter with a generous tip or a generous help is much more than keeping that same money in your wallet. So we should always think like that, and we should think of doing such acts. And this is just a story of, giving a waiter or someone. Or what about a beggar? Or what about the person that you buy a balloon from? Because what happens is, yes, yes, Ahmed.
Sometimes when I go out to eat like food in a restaurant, we're going with somebody else. My dad and that person, like, they start fighting of who's going to pay the bill.
Yeah. Yes, yes, that's a good thing actually, because both of them are trying to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by paying for the meal. So it's a good thing between friends usually, when two families are going, they start to say, no, no, let me give it, because it's goodness. It is overall a good thing, even for paying for meals. So, overall it's a great thing to serve someone a meal, despite if they are rich or poor, it doesn't matter. So, it can be your friends, it can be your neighbors, definitely for the poor and the needy, it can be your relatives, whosoever, but it's always good um, to pay for meals as well. And again, this was one example, right? Because I'll tell you one thing, where what usually happens is a practice that we have seen in our societies is, when we go for big stores or branded stores, and we go there, and when we are spending there, we do not really negotiate, or we do not really bargain. But when we are going to these smaller malls, and these people who are selling vegetables and selling these lesser value goods, we are always bargaining with them. No, 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 no. This is not 10 rupees, or this is not 10 riyals. I'll pay 8, or 5. And we don't do that for the big stores, because we cannot. There's a price tag. Okay, fine. You may find a promotion, but you never bargain with them, because they don't even give you the option. And where you should not bargain, which is the poor guy who's trying to sell something. No, 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 no. This is too much. We try to bargain and negotiate on all of this. So I think what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and what we saw in the previous ayah as well, is that we want to hold on to our wealth. We want to get, it is something that we love. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying that this is our test, and this is the test of everyone, to give it out in goodness. This is one example of it. You can find a lot of examples around us when needy people are there, and people who are lower in status than us. We should try to give as much as possible. So when